Just over a week ago, I wrote a Facebook post about the allotment and the mental block that I was facing in just even getting out of my front door and heading down the road to get to here. I was very glad to see that I wasn't alone, but I still wasn't able to make it down to the allotment until today. And so in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about allotments and mental health. Hello there, thanks so much for tuning in. So I'm Tim, aka My Carbon Coach, and this is a channel all about allotment life and eco-living. Very quickly before we get started, if I can just ask you to smash that like button and tap on the subscribe as well as the notification bell, that would be grand. So on to the meaty part of today's video straight away. You'll possibly have noticed by the lack of videos in July that things on the channel haven't been plain sailing. In no way is this pity party or me looking for any kind of validation, if that's the right word. That's not what it's about. But I felt like I wanted to put some feelings down on paper in the form of a script and just sort of have a conversation with myself that you guys just happen to be watching in on. I felt that that would probably be the best way to deal with this kind of situation and feelings, really. July was a bit of a weird month. If you've seen my previous video, you will have seen that there were some quite major things that just completely blindsided me. So I wasn't in a particularly fantastic headspace, really, to begin with. And what you'd normally think is that having a beautiful outside space to escape to sort of for an hour or two after work and in the evenings would be absolutely ideal for this kind of thing. Just potter around, tend to the plants and vegetables, let all of the worries just slip away. So I tried that, and one evening after work, stressful day at work, I did come up here, and it wasn't anywhere near as relaxing as it really should have been. So the grass was overgrown. I started to worry about what the site managers thought of me and sort of my lack of attention. I worried that the weeds were going to start affecting my neighbours and start upsetting them, and that they wouldn't be happy with me. And it all felt like way too much to deal with in that 1 hour that I had that I'd popped up here for me or for anyone really to deal with. All of this was even before I noticed that the entire bed of seeds that I'd sown a few weeks back, that I made a video on, only the radishes had grown. I'd somehow failed to grow anything at all in this late summer period. So I finished the bit of tidying that I was doing and went home. I hadn't filmed a video. I just felt really low. This is the first time that I've been back since that evening. I started to feel like I was partly to blame. I tried to run before I could walk with this whole allotment adventure. Living this journey through YouTube added a whole level of extra expectation, and it felt like weight on my shoulders. All of this on top of the sort of very low level anxiety that I'm sure we all feel when we're wondering whether what we've sown is going to grow or not. I just want to say though that everyone in the comments is always so lovely, kind and supportive, and you make making these videos really worthwhile. And if I'm honest, I do feel less pressure making these videos than I do with other forms of social media. But before we branch off and start talking about Instagram, I just wanted to pause for a moment and tell you all about Patreon. Patreon is a platform that enables friends and audiences to help support their favourite creators in doing what they're doing by contributing a small amount of money each month in return for some sweet perks. I recently went through and revamped all of the tiers and rewards and things on my Patreon that are available to anyone that wants to support me on my journey. And I've made them even more relevant now that I am entirely self-employed and am just about to open up a green living shop and eco school. You can support me for as little as £2 a month, and for that amount you get a whole lot more of me. So please do take a look. The link is in the description, and you'd be helping me out massively on this wild ride that is self-employment. So as I was just leading on to say, Instagram hasn't really helped with bolstering my sort of self-confidence and my motivation recently either. It's the whole thing about putting a filter on reality, mostly only showing your best bits, your kind of highlights. No one ever really shows how they are at their lowest with a trug full of failed vegetables and nothing to show. I think that most people see social media as not being reality these days, but that still doesn't mean that it's any less difficult with that knowledge not to compare yourself and your progress to how others are doing. The thing that you really have to remember in those situations is that you don't know the background of the person that you're looking at, and you're comparing yourself to their feed and their highlight reel, as it were. They might have been growing vegetables for years. Their allotment might actually be in their garden, so they can literally go out there every single evening after they've had their tea and just potter about for hours without the pressure of having to go to and fro. They might not actually even work and might be able to spend all of their days gardening and allotmenteering. In no way am I saying that any of these things are bad. They're just everyone's different life experiences. The point that I am trying to make and remind myself of is that every single one of us is different and wonderful in each of our own ways. We should each go at our own pace, and that's not to say that we always need to stick within our comfort zones, but just to sort of minimise the external pressures that we come across in our lives. Being able to grow our own produce is an absolute joy and a privilege, and it's something that really isn't a competition. Unless you are into competitive growing, of course, there is that. The final thing that I want to mention about social media, pressure and mental health is the seemingly unending rush to get seeds sown, to get things growing, to beat the seasons. I really noticed it this spring when people were sort of posting and seemed to be really pushing things in terms of how early they were sowing this year's seeds. And I felt that maybe I wasn't doing it right, that I hadn't got my potatoes in the ground as early as others were, or that I was behind on getting my sweet peas starting to grow. As hard as it is to block out all of these messages, know yourself, know your climate, go at your own pace, build up your own knowledge of what you feel works and doesn't work on your own allotment. And try not to worry so much when you see someone else doing something earlier than you or in a different way. Now that I am back up here, things don't seem anywhere near as bad as I had built them up to be inside my head. Yes, things do look really messy, and to be honest, I'm not really growing anything at the moment, but that's all right. Just like the earth and our crops have seasons, so do we. There are ebbs and flows, successes and things to learn from. So I'm making a jobs list of things to do up on the allotment, breaking it down into really small, manageable tasks that on their own don't seem that daunting. Each of them are easily achievable and nothing at all to be scared of. I can definitely trim back my lemon balm today and give the busy lizzies a good watering. Baby steps, almost like rehabilitation. It's an entirely different world to the one we would have been living in for the past sort of year and a half up until now. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it any longer. It is what it is. And I really hope that you don't beat yourself up about these things too. I really, really hope that this hasn't come across as a moan. It hasn't meant to be. What I actually hope is that it's reassuring to know that someone else has been going through these same things that maybe you felt in the past or are currently going through, that you're not alone, that these things are just sort of a natural part of life and what people go through. It's all part of our allotment journey, I guess, and life journey. Please do feel free to share your stories as well, either in a comment or by all means DM me on social media. They're always open for you. Things should hopefully start to get better now that I've kind of had this video therapy session, although I am going to be a busy bee with getting things at the shop and the eco school ready. I'm going to be documenting that process alongside my allotment life continuing and seeing how that progresses. The hope is that I open the eco store on the 3rd of September, so not long to go now at all. So a new life, a new adventure. It means a slight tweak to timetables. What this means for you is that videos will be coming out now on a Tuesday evening rather than a Monday evening going forwards after this one. But if you have the notification bell turned on, YouTube will send you a handy little reminder every time a video is published. Please do consider supporting me through Patreon. Why not take a look at one of these other videos that YouTube is going to pop on the screen and recommend for you. So until next week, please take care of yourselves and your mental health. Take care of your allotments, and I will catch you in a week's time. Cheers, everyone.